Hello, welcome back to Send Them Off. Now the club season is over. Titles have been decided. We've been there here and Send Them Off for every twist, every turn, every up and every down. But we have got a big summer of football ahead. And we couldn't quite resist an episode dedicated to the Euros. When I say we, of course, I'm talking about me. My name is Sam. And joining me, as always, is my ever-present podcasting partner, Alex. How are you doing?
That's probably the most organised intro you've ever done. You were reading that, we knew. Yeah.
Yeah, we got proper guests on tonight. I need to shake up.
We need to behave ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Do you know what? I love European football. Sort of fell out of love with it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where it started to get a little bit, commercial a bit. But I think it's kind of what we all needed this year in particular.
Tonic in it this year.
It is.
Anyway, I mentioned we've got guests. We have got two guests making their Send Them Off debuts today. We've got representatives from each of the three home nations competing at this summer's tournament. Representing Scotland, we've got Calum Lawrie from Vale Cast.
Thank you very much, Sam. Good to be on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We've branched out to Scotland now.
We have, yeah. This is the furthest we've been, isn't it?
This is practically abroad for us.
Yeah, because usually we go no further than Swansea.
Yeah, literally.
And you guys is probably the furthest I've been away from Scotland as well all year. So it's great to speak to you tonight.
Lovely. And representing England from the Perspective podcast, we've got Omar Garrick. How are you doing, Omar?
I'm not too bad, mate. Thank you for having me on. I'm looking forward to it.
Coming. Thank you. Omar's a bit more big time than us. If you listen to his podcast, he has like actual famous people on. So Omar is a celebrity in his own.
Don't big me up that much, Sam. You're too kind.
Representing Wales. Sorry, everybody in Wales, but you've got me and Alex.
Sorry about that.
Oh yeah. What can I say? If where should we start? Shall we start with Group D, which has got two of our home nations in? It's a tasty old group, that. England, Croatia, Scotland, and the Czech Republic. Shall we start with Scotland? Because the mainstream media always starts with England. So let's start with Scotland.
Fair enough.
How long before somebody mentions 1966?
Oh,
man, I'm looking at you, man.
It won't be coming from me, that's for sure. So.
But so Scotland, first major tournament in how long, Callum?
Far too long, to be honest.
Far too long.
This is our
Correct.
first major tournament since France '98, believe it or not. I remember watching that as a kid.
That's not quite as long as we waited before the last Euros, man.
Yeah.
1958.
We played against Pele.
1958. But yeah, I'm really glad that the Scots are there. I think it'll be a sort of breath of fresh air. And before we actually start recording, I said to Callum that they've got every chance of getting out this group, because I think there's a complete lack of expectation there, almost from everybody else, more the outsiders really, which is, I think that really benefited Wales last time in the Euros when it was our first major tournament in a while. No one expected us to get out, maybe not out of the group, but no one expected us to go anywhere. And I think, do you think, Callum, that is something that could potentially benefit you?
Quite possibly. I think we are a little bit of an unknown entity coming into a major tournament again for the first time in forever. So, there's obviously a couple of tricky fixtures in that group. I think you can't underestimate, Croatia and the Czech Republic. So, and just the one easy game against England, Omar. So,
it's 3 points there, Callum. 3 points.
Exactly. So, we look at first place, but, I think, if we can sneak out of the group, I think we'll all be, a very happy nation. Getting there, firstly was one of the greatest nights of 2020, in all honesty, in 2021. So yeah, it's
one hard, man, was it?
Yeah.
One hard.
Yeah, one of the highlights of what's been a pretty rubbish year, hasn't it? So pretty happy to be there. And as I say, there's no expectation on the squad. We've never progressed beyond the group stage before, so there is that kind of carrot for them. But yeah, I think we want to do more than a we took part certificate, but it'd be nice to be a bit competitive in there as well.
The thing is, go on. No, I was going to say, you talk about like you haven't got too many expectations for the team, but I'm looking at the side now. I've got the provisional side in front of me, and there's a bit of quality in there. There is quite a bit of quality. You got, I know he's a bit young, but we've got like some Billy Gilmore, Chelsea. I'm looking around now, Josh McGinn. I know these aren't like superstar players, but they're players with a good amount of quality, and I think they will slip under the radar. Like Andy Robertson, top quality.
I mean, we've got some cracking players, some absolute cracking players, and players that are kind of mixing it up in the Premier League and the Championship on a weekly basis. We've got maybe not an attractive player as such, but Grant Hanley, centre half plays for Norwich, captains them. They've obviously just gone up as well. Great season for him. We've got Liam Cooper at Leeds United, captaining them as well. We've got a few captains from the Scottish Premiership as well.
Southampton's as well. Southampton, so
absolutely. And I think that's definitely, a striker that we're really happy to have representing Scotland. I know he had a couple of options there, and as a number of the squad have, we're not all born and bred Scots in the squad, but we've got Shea Adams up there. Well, yeah, we had a good chat on that one on Vale Cast a few weeks ago. When the news came out that he was not going to make it with his injury. I think there were a few Scotland fans rubbing their hands with that one, in all honesty, because as a centre forward with 16 caps for your country, not a single goal there. I think we were, we maybe had a few other options up there. So yeah, pretty happy with the squad.
We got a bit of a soft spot for McBurney, done.
We do, yeah.
Oh, do you? Oh well, I take it all back. I wish he was there. So
the name that stands out for me though is McTominay. So at the time recording, the Europa League final was last night. Obviously, Man United lost, but I thought McTominay was personally my man of the match. I thought he was outstanding.
Did a job.
He's brilliant. He looked to me, he's like Carrick reincarnated. Like he does a lot of the unseen work. Doesn't really get the credit for it, but I say that because he did get the credit for it last night. But yeah, he does a lot of the unseen work. There's a lot of the stuff that's not pretty, but
I agree. I agree. Yeah. And it depends where Steve Clarke plays him, for the Euros, because obviously for Man United he has, usually alongside Fred, not starting that last night, but he's pretty much nailed down that holding midfielder role. Whereas for Scotland he's been playing on the right hand side of a back three, so doing a pretty good job there as well, in all honesty. But it'll be interesting to see what that first lineup is, whether they try McTominay in the middle of the park, and there's a couple of other midfielders. You mentioned McGinn earlier. And Callum McGregor of Celtic, who've kind of been holding those two places down. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does. But, yeah, we've been putting together our kind of teams and looking at a potential starting 11. And McTominay seems to feature at centre-half, as they on the right-hand side of the back three, 9 times out of 10. So we'll see. We'll see what happens first.
Callum, out of curiosity, do you, with Steve Clarke, he tends to prefer 3 at the back. What do you make of that? Because I do think you've got the right sort of characters in there to actually play that formation.
I was going to say, that's it, Sam, we're done. We're out there. We've watched the master at work. This is it. This is how we're going.
Well, I mean, it's worked. We're there first and foremost. And I think we've been playing that formation pretty much all the way through the qualifiers. So it's we got there just about, but we're there. So that's fine enough for us. So yeah, I think looking at the kind of the team that's there, it's quite a defensive squad. In all honesty, there's not too much up at the top end of the pitch. So it kind of looks nailed on for 3 at the back, the 2 wing backs, 2 in the middle, maybe 2 wingers and 1 up front, or 1 in a kind of 10 position and the 2 up front. So yeah, it gives a couple of options, but I think the majority of Scotland fans are looking at it as that kind of back 3 or back 5.
You know what they say though? If it ain't broke.
Well, that's it. Yeah. That's exactly it. So
one question I was going to ask Omar, as an England fan, and obviously you're in the same group, how do you view this? Banter aside, how do you view the Scottish side? Like, do they pose a threat, or do you think we'll breeze it, or do you think what do you think about it?
Well, to be honest with you, this is probably the best Scottish team I've seen in a while. I mean, this is the first time you've qualified for an actual championship in a while as well. So I think that speaks volumes in itself. I think there is a lot of quality in there. I think Scott McTominay, as you named before, I think he's a quality player. I think Shea Adams, as you mentioned before, I think he scored quite a few goals at Southampton. But I also think, as you touched upon, you've got quite a defensive stability in there. And I think you've got the right players with the right characters. And I think from an English perspective, you have to worry because with games against Scotland, there's always that fiery edge to it. Form kind of goes out the window with games like that. So I think you've got to be worried because I think Scotland on their day, I think they could beat anybody. And especially because this is, of course, your first championship in a while. Well, in a while. And I think you'll be up for it more. I think your fans will be up for it a lot more as well. And I think everybody talks about the 12th man, don't they? And I think Scottish fans will play a vital role if they're going to, succeed in this championship.
Absolutely. And that's something that we're really hopeful of having, a good number of fans, at Hampden Park for those games. We've had a couple of COVID instances lately in Glasgow, so hopefully that'll sort itself out in time. But yeah, I totally agree. I think the Scottish squad, and we saw it not that long ago. I think maybe just about 3-4 years ago, with the 2-each draw with Scotland and England at Hampden, where it took a last minute equaliser from your lot to salvage that point. So it could be tight. It could be 6-0 to England, but it could be a really tight game. So I'm going to go with a 1-each draw on that one, I think, maybe, but we'll see.
I'll have your view later, Calum. Don't worry. We'll get on to the England team. I'll have your view after. I'll leave you out.
Yeah, I think this is a good place to move on to England, to be fair. In the same group. Omar, what were your initial reactions to the 33-man squad announced last week? Any surprises?
It was an interesting one. I thought there was a few surprises in there. I didn't expect Ben White to get called up for the provisional side. I thought he was a surprise. There's a lot of talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold. I do worry about the defence because Harry Maguire is injured at the moment, and God knows when he's going to come back. And I thought the partnership of Stones and Maguire was the only kind of valuable squad list that we had for our defence, because if you go beyond them, I don't think Tyrone Mings is good enough, personally. I won't get into what I think of him as a player because I don't want to criticise him too much. And I also think Connor Cody's not 100% he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he's not world class, as you see with with the strength and depth like France's squad, for example. They've got an unbelievable array of defenders. I was surprised that Danny Ings was left out, to be honest with you. I thought he had a good season, and I was surprised that Aaron Wan-Bissaka got left out as well. I know the right back situation for England, there's a lot of depth in that position, but I don't see how Reece James has had a better season than Aaron Wan-Bissaka personally, because Reece James was injured for part of the season as well. So and I think defensively, Wan-Bissaka, if England came up in the knockout stages, for example, against France, against Belgium, I think you'd need that defensive awareness about you to deal with the likes of Mbappe or Kevin De Bruyne. And I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka would have given that. We'll just have to wait and see with the 23-man squad, because at the moment it's a provisional team. I have a weird feeling that something's going to happen big with Trent Alexander-Arnold, because there's been a lot of rumours about Gareth Southgate not getting on with him. I know he's come out and denied that, but they've come from really credible sources. So I think we'll have to see. I think it'll be an interesting one to see who actually gets left out.
I'd be surprised if he gets sent home, to be fair.
So would I. I know they might not get on, but I do think he's a very, very good right back. Yeah, very good right back. Going forward, I think that's where he offers the most. I know probably defensively not fantastic, but I think that's where you'd have your partnership like Harry Maguire and John Stone. Obviously, Maguire's not fit, but yeah, I think he will be involved. I think it'll just be a case of having a bit more cover on that side. Whether they go like Scotland and go 3 at the back and probably push him into a wing back role, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
but I do think he'd be involved personally.
Yeah, I think I would definitely take him, because I think you need a balance with your right backs. I don't think he will be Southgate's number one choice in the big games. I think he'll go with Kieran Trippier, because Kieran Trippier has had a decent season out in Atletico Madrid, where he's won La Liga over there. So it's an interesting one, because I think with the squad, if you saw it, there's a lot of midfielders. There's a lot of midfielders, and I think Southgate's problem is going to be maybe fitting in all his attacking prowess into one starting 11. If it was me, I'd probably go with a midfield pivot of Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham. I think Jude Bellingham is an exceptional talent. Every time I've seen him this season, he's just been sensational, and he's only about 17 years old. And Declan Rice has had a good season. Mason Mount, I would probably go for. Then I'll probably go for Foden on the left. I don't think Raheem Sterling's had as good a season as he's done previously before. And then I'll probably go Sancho on the right and Kane up top. But whether Kane's head is focusing on other matters in terms of his club career, we'll have to wait and see, because, you know, he's meant to be England's talisman, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
See, for me, I think if I was Southgate, I would be building that team around Mount, Foden, and Kane. I think those three are the most they're the informed players, really. I mean, Sancho and Bellingham have been brilliant this year. Talking informed, do you think Lingard will go?
I've been impressed with Jesse Lingard, to be fair to him, since his loan move to West Ham. It's an interesting one, because I think Southgate likes him, but I personally don't think he suits Southgate's style of play. I think with Lingard, he's always looking to find the pockets of space and running in those channels. I don't think England, you know, pass through the middle. I think they like to get it out wide and then supply balls into Harry Kane. So I think he will go, to be honest with you, based on form, because he's been absolutely sensational, I think, for West Ham. I can see him going. I don't think Bukayo Saka will make the cut for Arsenal, but it'll be interesting to see. I like our strikers as well. I do think Mason Greenwood should go as well. I think Mason Greenwood has been sensational towards the end of the season, and he too, Sam, is one of those players that's hit form at the right time, like the Mason Mounts, for example. So it'll be interesting to see it in terms of where I think England can finish. I think it's either going to go one or two ways. We're either not going to get past the group stage, or I think we'll go to the semi-finals.
So you don't think England are going to win it?
You don't think they're going to win it?
No. I think France have got such a good squad. I think you've always got to think about them, and I think Portugal will win it, to be honest with you.
I said Portugal. I think they're underdogs as well. I don't think anybody's really thinking that they're going to do it, but it's the same as 2016. If you've got Cristiano Ronaldo in your team, you can't discount them. You just
exactly. And I think, you know, Ruben Diaz has been my player of the season. I think he's been sensational. Then you've got the likes of Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, João Felix. Such an exciting team, I think, and I think that they're definitely my pick. And Belgium, you can't rule out Belgium as well, because I think Roberto Martinez, it's his final. It's the end of his time with the Belgian national side, so I think he'll want a hunger to, you know, go as far as he can in this Euros.
Would love that. Nice former Swansea manager.
Yeah,
doing it on the biggest.
He's a good manager. He's a very good manager.
He is. Weird.
Omar, just to jump in. Sorry, Sam. Do you think with Portugal, you know, do they need Cristiano Ronaldo to be, you know, firing at 100% for them to win that tournament? Do you think, or do you think they've got enough kind of depth now that, you know, Ronaldo maybe having an off day and throwing in the occasional sulk isn't going to kind of derail their tournament?
I think with Cristiano Ronaldo, he's obviously 36 years of age, and he's playing in Serie A, which is a very defensive league, and it's a lot slower compared to, you know, the fast pace of the Premier League, and it's a little bit slower than the Liga. But I think in terms of, you know, a leadership role model to bring to that squad, I think he'd be absolutely pivotal in, you know, kind of inspiring others to perform to the highest level and to the highest of their abilities. And I think Portugal have got leaders everywhere you look. I think Bruno Fernandes has been described as, you know, the Eric Cantona, the resurrection of Eric Cantona. Ruben Diaz, I mean, he's only 23 years of age, but every time you put another Manchester City defender next to him, he seems to improve their game incredibly. And I just think they've got such depth in the midfield. And I think Ronaldo, I don't think he'll play. He's a big game player, Ronaldo. And I think in the big games, he will turn up. As we've seen before in the past, he's proved that. Even in the Champions League, I mean, I remember when he scored that hat-trick against Atletico Madrid not so long ago in the second leg. and he's also got the experience of winning the Euros last time around. So I do think they've got enough to go through to actually go all the way to the end and win it. But I think you do have to worry about France and Belgium. That's the only two teams I'm concerned for them, France and Belgium. But I do think they'll do it.
The thing is, we talk about France and Belgium. They were very good in the last round in 2016, the last tournament. But in the final, I believe it was France and Portugal. And Portugal won that game without having Ronaldo on the field for, I don't know if it was the majority, but they certainly scored without having him on the field. So I think that squad has only got better since 4 or 5 years ago, however long it was. So I don't know if they will need him as badly as they needed him last time, personally.
I think
that's what I think.
I'm assuming then, Omar, if we're talking Group F, which is the group of death, Hungary, Portugal, France, Germany, you're saying Germany out of the big three in that group are going out?
Yeah, I think Joachim Löw, I think there's a reason I think he's coming towards the end of his tenure as the German coach. He's done a fantastic job, don't get me wrong, but I think with the German side, they've got a lot of midfield. I don't think they've got that real out and out number 9, to score the goals. I think they're going to be relying on Timo Werner. And I think we've seen in the Premier League this season, he hasn't been clinical enough at all. He's missed dozens of opportunities, and that will come with time, I'm sure. But I think, to be honest with you, I think one star player we were going to really see come out is Kai Havertz, and I think that will come next season as well in the Premier League. And I think the Euros may be a start of it, the start of things we might see from the German international in the Premier League. I think towards the end of the season, I think he's looked brilliant and he's shown more signs of his, attacking capabilities. But yeah, I do think Germany and Hungary are going to be the ones that don't get through in that group.
I'd be inclined to agree, to be fair. Interesting you say about Havertz, because I'm really excited to see Jamal Musiala play if he plays, because I've seen him a couple of times for Bayern this season, and he's unbelievable. He's so good. When they played Lazio in the Champions League, he just swarmed them.
Did he score in that game?
He did, yeah, he did. Brilliant player. One of my sort of young ones to watch in this tournament, I think. Yeah. So we've covered 2 groups. Now we're going to cover the People's Champions. The team that everyone wants to win. Let's be honest. Just admit it. Callum, Omar, you can admit it.
I was going to say, you're coming back to Scotland again now, right?
Yeah.
I must admit, I've got a wee soft spot. My wife's family are all from Wales, so
there we are.
Yeah, a wee bit of a soft spot for you this year.
That'll do me. That's good enough for me.
Wales. So we're in a group. Am I allowed to say we? Is that impartial enough? Anyway, we are in a group. I'm wearing the jersey. Who cares? So we're in a group with Turkey, Italy, and Switzerland. So I think in that group, Italy are the big ones, sort of, that we need to be wary of. But I fancy us to beat them. I'm saying it now. I fancy us. We're capable of topping that group.
I think so too. I don't see. I mean, Italy, obviously they got their quality, but I don't think they're as dangerous as people think they are. I really don't think so. They've got, Donnarumma in goals. I think, is he in goals, Donnarumma?
Yeah, I think so.
I think
they've got the likes of Insigne up front, haven't they?
Yeah.
Insigne, Immobile.
I was going to say, but these players seem to be. They've been around for a while. I know Donnarumma's been 21 for the last 6 years. He must have been, but Insigne's been around a while. I don't feel like they're as dangerous as people make out they are. I'd be disappointed if we didn't qualify. I'd be surprised if we didn't finish top.
Yeah,
they're one of those nations that's kind of going backwards a wee bit.
We're not going to qualify.
No, I agree. I think Italy are one of those teams that have, over the last kind of decade or so, they've just never really kicked on from what they did before that. Kind of similar in a way to Holland the last couple of years as well. Just they're not the scary force that maybe they were, back in the 90s and early 2000s, and that they just seem to have kind of fallen off the edge a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Wales turning them over, in all honesty. But there's on their day they'll still be a dangerous side, and I think will be. If you're looking at that group, the 2 that would come out of it, I would expect Wales and Italy to be the 2. And in whatever order. I'm not sure, but yeah, they're not quite the beast they were a few years back.
No, I agree.
Sure.
I do agree.
think we're quite strong defensively as well. I think we conceded 1 goal in qualifying.
It was one, yeah.
Like across the whole thing, and that was in the last game against Finland. We've looked really.
The problem is we don't score too many.
No, it's like Swansea in it. Why do both the teams we support
Yeah, exactly.
just defend and don't score?
Yeah.
It's horrific. Yeah, we are strong at the back though, and I think that's really where our strength lies. And if you'd said that on paper with the team with Bale, Ramsey, Harry Wilson, David Brooks, if you said that defensively your strength is where, I mean, you'd call it mad, wouldn't it? But watching us, that is how it works. And Joe Rodon at the back, I think, is going to be such a key player this year in the Euros. I think he's really good. It's going to be make or break. If Joe Rodon has a good Euros, Wales are going to have a good Euros. End of. For me.
I think Joe Rodon's going to pick up the mantle from Ashley Williams, and I think that's what that'll be.
Just to add as well, I do think you have to watch out for that Switzerland game, because Switzerland can be, it feels like they're such a bogey side. They either turn up or they don't. And I do think they have some really good young players in there. They've got Dennis Zakaria. I think they've got some nice stability with Granit Xhaka. Xherdan Shaqiri, I think he's always performed well whenever he's gone away internationally. And Manuel Kanji, I think he's a really good young centre-back for Borussia Dortmund. So I still think you've got to watch that Switzerland side, because they can either turn up or they might not. And to be honest with you, I could just see a lot of teams drawing against them. I can feel I could see them not conceding too many. I think they'll set up as all the Swiss sides tend to set up, well organised, well structured. So I think that will be a tough game as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Turkey game is going to be a tough one though. Like, I think people are sort of writing them off a bit, and
I'll be honest, I kind of already have written them off. I'm not expecting them to do too much. I'm sorry, I don't know nothing about the Turkey team. I just don't.
Alex hasn't done his research, clearly.
I've not done any research, but
welcome to send him off, boys. Welcome to send him off.
Yeah, but no, I don't really think there's too much in them anyway.
They've got a lot of defenders, haven't they? I think they've got Soyuncu, they've got Kabak, Demiral. Who else have they got? They got that guy from AC Milan, Calum Lawrie. And he's an okay player, but I think you should see past them well. So I think you've got a better squad than them, to be honest with you.
I really like the youth in our squad as well. Like, so in the last Euros, there was quite a few older players that we had, like James Collins, Ashley Williams is a bit older. This time we've got there with a young squad. Like, it took a while to get there last time because the squad was sort of getting there in age-wise. And then when they hit peak, we got there in 2016. This time, I feel like half our squad hasn't even hit the peak yet. So, like, for the future, that is really exciting for a Wales fan anyway. Like, you look at like Harry Wilson. Who else we got? Deej, yeah, go.
I'm calling Deej as if I know it.
Yeah, we're like, man. We're like, he's on the podcast next week.
Yeah,
it probably is on Omar's.
Oh, stop it, yeah.
But yeah, I feel like we've got a decent chance. Whether we'll get any, I mean, I'm putting it out there now. I don't want to be a pessimist, but I don't think we're going to get as far as we did last time. But you never know. We didn't expect to get the last time.
I needed you to say that because I was so arrogant and cocky that we're going to get out of the group. Now you sort of bring it back down to earth, right? So that's
I can't see us doing as well. But you never know. I said along the same lines of the Scotland having the sort of lack of expectation, it might sort of carry them a bit. I'm worried that our sense of expectation this time would be too much, really.
Well, how does it work? If we top the group, or if we come second, is it Group F we get?
I have no idea, mate.
No.
Honestly, no idea. I haven't done.
Excellent.
I haven't thought about that yet.
Yeah, I haven't put my wall chart up yet. So.
Yeah, we can't get out of the group yet. Yeah, so,
but I do think if you finish top there, I do think you've got a decent chance of getting to the quarterfinals. To be honest with you, I think, but you have to finish top, because if you get second, then you're obviously going to get a tougher draw.
Whoever it is, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, but we'll see.
But if we take the other groups, so Group B, just skim over them: Denmark, Finland, Belgium, and Russia. who we got? I mean, Belgium. We've said.
I quite like Denmark's squad, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I like Denmark.
Yeah.
But Finland were in our group for qualification, and they are a tidy team. They are nothing to be sniffed at. And they gave us a really good game. I think they were the ones actually we conceded to Teemu Pukki, I think. I think we beat them though. We might have drawn.
I think we did, yeah. I can't remember.
Yeah, like I said, it's nothing to be sniffed at. They got a decent squad, and I think a lot of them are going to the radar. Not sure about Russia. Just sort of.
Russia are kind of the same as Switzerland, with what Omar was saying earlier.
Yeah.
They either turn up and they perform really well, or they will just roll over. And so I think Russia could be again one of those ones to maybe watch for a second place in that group. But for me it would be Belgium and then Denmark. I would say should have enough quality.
I agree.
To just get through.
I think
I think it'll be tight. It's not going to be. I don't see many kind of 4-0 results in that group. I think it will be quite a tight one, and maybe I think Denmark just sneaking it over either Russia or Finland. I would say.
Just on Belgium quickly, I'm speaking to Calum. Well, we speaking to Calum. Calum's just talking. Do you see Eden Hazard going to the Euros? Omar, you would answer that as well.
I think so. I think he makes the squad. I don't know if he's going to be a starter for every game. In all honesty, I know that he's not had the greatest season, or to be honest, not really had the greatest move when he went to Madrid.
No.
So I think the proof's there that that's not really worked out for him, and I think Madrid are quite open that they're looking to get him off the books, at the end of this campaign. So I think he goes just for star quality. He's like we've had that, in the Scotland squad, we had a few debates over certain strikers coming in just to, if we were needing that in a last minute goal or needing a push up the park. I think Hazard could be one of those impact players to come on if they need him. But yeah, I don't think he'll be in the 11.
Omar?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, he will go. But I also think that you touched upon there that he might be leaving Real Madrid. I also think what's the perfect opportunity to show your worth on a main international stage, and I think he'll want to be. Eden Hazard will be wanting to show his talents on in the European Championships in order to get clubs interested, I think, for him, and I think that'll be in the back of his mind. If he has a good tournament, then there's obviously going to be interest from loads of clubs, and I don't think he's happy at Madrid. So I think he will go, and I also. He does have experience. He's coming on to 30, but I think he'll want to perform well because I think he'll want clubs, to be interested in him in the summer.
Mm-hmm. And there's a few players in the same boat. I know we talked about Ronaldo earlier. That's another one that's been linked with a move away from his club. Harry Kane, obviously, heavily linked with leaving Spurs, which will be interesting to see if that's still the case if they do get Pochettino back. But I think there's a number of these kind of talisman figures in a number of these teams that are maybe putting themselves in the shop window. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Definitely. Group C, the Netherlands, Ukraine, Austria, and everybody's second team this summer, North Macedonia. And my second team this summer. I kind of honestly, if they beat us in the quarters, I wouldn't care. Genuinely wouldn't care. Yeah, I mean, it's just. I think it's nice to see a different name there. Like Finland are a bit of a different name. I think it was their first major tournament in a long time, and I just enjoy seeing these new people there. It's like it's not really the same in like the Champions League where you get like a random team from like Belarus playing, and it's like, what's a new name? Because you just know they're gonna go out. But like in the Euros, literally anything can happen. Like you look at Iceland, sorry, Omar, in 2016, but but I mean, no one expected that.
Look at
Wales
to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They just became like a bit of a phenomenon. And I mean, I'm not sure North Macedonia are gonna quite do the same.
I was going to say, I think we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves if we compare them to Iceland.
I think got Goran Pandev up front. He's like 39, I think.
He's been playing for about 40 years, hasn't he?
Didn't he win the Champions League in 2009? Or like at no, it wasn't 2009, was it? 2010 with Mourinho.
With Mourinho.
Yeah. Still going.
Was he the one that scored direct from a corner against England years and years and years ago? Or am I thinking of a different kind of Pandev type player? It seems to ring a bell, but
I'm not sure.
We'll see. We'll see if he can do it in the quarters or something. Then that'd be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Netherlands and Austria. for me, are the two favorites in this group. Austria, they got like Alaba, Sabitzer, is he?
Sabitzer, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is Arnautovic going?
Potentially,
I think he might be. Yeah.
And what's the midfielder? Plays for Leipzig.
Oh, Liechtenstein.
No, plays for Leipzig. What's his name? Oh well.
Wait, no, is he Swiss? I don't know.
Yeah, Netherlands though, like you said earlier, Callum, one of those teams that sort of have taken a few steps back, but they've got quite a youthful squad. I think, other than, does anyone know if Van Dijk will be going? I think
he's
is
not.
he out?
He's
I
not
don't think he is.
Yeah.
I think he ruled himself out. Yeah,
that's huge. Oh, that's a big blow. But yeah, they've got a young squad. They've got Frankie De Jong. What else have they got? Like De Ligt at the back. You know, it's quite. I mean, essentially anyone who's graduated from the Ajax Academy in the last 10 years is probably in that squad. But yeah, again, one of those teams that maybe I'd say about the Netherlands, not now, but give it 4 years and potentially, maybe we'll see how the development goes with all the younger players. Maybe
I'm not too sure on their manager either, because they've got Frank de Boer, and he's done really bad at Crystal Palace. When he was
a joke. Only 6 weeks he was out. He
was very bad, very bad.
I think that's probably the most boring group out of them all.
I will celebrate. I will go ballistic if North Macedonia score 1.
Yeah, same.
That's all I need.
Yeah,
and
I'll make that
run
one
around my street in my pants.
Yeah.
You
what?
I'll run around my street in my pants.
That's on the podcast now.
There we are.
That's it. You're taking that back now.
That will be a mini episode if North Macedonia score 1 goal at the Euros.
It's a little vlog for everyone to
enjoy. I will hold you to that.
Group that audio only, though, no video.
Yeah. Group E, last one. Spain, Sweden, Poland, Slovakia. I mean, Spain favourites, safe to say. Although I saw their squad the other day, and for me, it just didn't do anything for me when I was reading it.
The thing for Spain is, right, I think we're comparing that Spain team to the Spain team of 10 years ago, and you can't. You just can't. They could, well, you know, I still think they're favourites, but if nobody's comparing Spain to Germany or Spain to England, they're comparing Spain to Spain 10 years ago, and that's what it is. I think they'll still do a job. There's still a lot of quality in that Spain team.
They get out the group. I'm pretty sure they'll get out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a disaster if they don't, really, given that group. I think Poland are ones to watch. Obviously, Lewandowski's had an unbelievable season. Somehow didn't win Player of the Year in the Bundesliga. Haaland won it. I think it was because it was a fan vote, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can, again, it's the same when I said about Portugal with Ronaldo. With the team of Lewandowski in it, you can't rule them out. You can just pull it out of the bag, can't you? But yeah, for me, Spain. So
I'm just gutted that Zlatan's not going to be able to appear at the finals now after making his international comeback at the age of 56 or whatever he is. But you know, that's a big blow, because that would have been a bit of an entertainment factor, I think, if it.
Personally, if Sweden qualify for a World Cup or even a Euros in 4 years' time, I can see him creeping in, because he's kept himself in such good shape. I wouldn't rule it out. I'm not saying, you know, I think he will, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
He'd be
playing for good.
If he takes over, he'd be like manager when he's like 60 now, and like it'd be the last minute, and we'll find out he's registered himself as a player.
He's come on, he's bringing himself on.
He'll retire the number 9.
He'll be a very animated manager, I think.
God, imagine the amount of times he gets sent off. Brilliant. So quickly, while we just before we finish, we'll run around with some predictions. So we've sort of covered it a little bit. Honestly, how you think your nation will do, and then who do you think is going to be in the final, and who do you think is going to win it? I suppose the final actually depends on the tournament tree, so don't give me that one actually, because it might be wrong. But yeah, Callum.
Right. Optimistically, I'm going to say that Scotland just sneak second place in that group. Not sure exactly how, because when you look at that group, it is pretty tough. But you know, I can see us just maybe sneaking that by the skin of our teeth to get through the group. I think if we are fortunate enough to do that, that will probably be where our tournament ends not long after, in all honesty. But anything better than fourth place is a win in my book. So So we'll take that. In terms of overall kind of winner, I think Omar's touched on the strength that France have. I would agree. I think that's where the trophy will be going back to this year.
Interesting. Omar?
I think England will qualify out of the group, first or second. I'm not too sure because I think Croatia are also a good side. But if we do get out of the group, I think England will get to the semi-finals. I think they've got enough prowess and they've got enough squad depth around the whole entire team to go far. It just depends on how Southgate approaches all of them, because he can either be his usual defensive self or he might go a bit more attack, and we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think England will get to the semi-finals, and winners, I think I'm going to have to go Portugal, to be honest with you. I think they've got a brilliant squad, a squad full of leaders, and I think, yeah, it'll go to Portugal.
Solid. Alex?
Wales, first or second, I'm still sort of unsure. I think, it'll all depend on who we get, doesn't it? Because I think if we come up with a team that's sort of our level, I think we could beat them on our day. I feel like we beat them. So I could be quarters, semis. I think semis maximum. I think I'm putting a kid in myself if we get to the final. But what do you think?
I'm going quarters.
You're going quarters. You're sticking with that, you?
Yeah, I'm going quarters. I think
if we do get semis, you'd be surprised.
I think there's a lot more quality in this tournament than there was in 2016. I think even the likes of France, who made the final, and Portugal, who won it last time, look far better than they did back then. We beat Belgium 4 years ago. I can't see that happening again. Should we get a team like Belgium, I can't really see it happening again. But you never know. You never know. And who do you think is going to win it, Al?
Well, either France or Portugal. I think I can't pick between them. You both make very good cases, boys.
I'm gonna go for Swansea old boy. I'm gonna back Roberto. I'm gonna go Belgium. Yeah, I'm going Belgium. I'm doing it. Got to back him in it. You've got to back him.
Yeah,
you won the FA Cup with Wigan, man. You can do it. Yeah. So there you have it. There are our predictions. Thank you for coming on, Omar, Calum. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure having two new guests as well. It's always nice to have new guests. Nice to have some different voices other than our dulcet tones every week. But yeah, do you want to have like 30 seconds or so to like plug your podcast, plug your socials? Calum, do you want to go first?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. So I co-host Vale Cast, which is the official club podcast of the mighty Devon Vale Football Club, a Highland League team based in the northeast of Scotland. So we release a new episode every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock on YouTube and Spotify and everywhere else that you get your podcasts from. So please do follow, like, subscribe, check us out, and hopefully see you guys soon.
Lovely. That was seamless. It was way better than when me and Alex do it.
I was plugging my personal Instagram and I was asked to do it. So much better than me.
Omar?
Well, yeah, I just I host a podcast with the former chairman of the Football Writers Association and legendary writer Patrick Barkley. It's called The Perspective. You can follow us on Twitter. We're at perspectivepod_. What we do every week, we invite a selection of journalists on. We discuss all topical events in football. It's a podcast that's been on the rise, and we couldn't do it without your support. And we want to climb in the charts higher. I think we're up to 20th now in the all-time most listened to football podcast in the UK. So yeah, we're doing well, but it couldn't be without all the support that everybody has given us. So yeah, tune in if you can.
Lovely. 20th. We probably like 20 million.
Because I think I've got about 20 subscribers. So yeah, that's not bad. Well done.
Love it. Yeah, and thank you for listening. We plan to be back. We've got a little episode planned in a couple of weeks with a special guest, and then we've got a Euros roundup where it's just me and Alex. Unless you boys want to come back.
Yeah,
I'll be happy to.
Always happy to.
It's us four again. We'll do it again. There we are.
Yeah,
I'm booking guests live on air now, so you can't say no. We'll sort the date out though, boys. But yeah, thank you for listening. Enjoy the Euros. Hopefully your team goes far, especially if they're Wales. Especially if your team are Wales. We'll see you then. Thank you for listening. Ta-ra.